Oh god, I fell down. I fell down the ladder. It wouldn't let me get back on the ladder. I'm like, run, 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 and they're like, hoo-yah! Hoo-yah!
Okay.
They're like,
I don't know how to reply to any of that.
they're fucking everywhere! I'll give you treatment at the witch's house. Okay. Oh my god, we're carrying him home! Oh, my heart! Guys! Oh. We're carrying him!
Exactly one of those.
Oh yeah, they go like...
What the fuck was that?
That's the sound the dinosaurs make! This is as terrible as the smell of spotted shit-take mushrooms. I don't think that's how you meant to say that word, but anyway. Up ahead is the engine room. Okay. Chit-chat. Please save any inquiries regarding souvenirs. Shiitake. Shiitake? Did I say? Unless this is not sugar and this is salt. It says salt.
You can taste it. You can't. It doesn't have a smell. Babe. Oh yeah, that's no. Midnight gaming. One of those Chihuahua puppy dogs that has a lot of back and a lot of butt.
No, there's none of those. Chihuahuas don't have bite. They just bark out the window at things that are much larger than them.
Spike down B. Feeling fed. One down. One enemy remaining. Flawless.
They really just lined up there. Honestly, can someone just like press the clip button? I don't care if you actually name it, but that was pretty funny.
I got you.
Because I liked it. They just like lined up for that. Just sat there and was like, okay. Sound does a cookie make? Nom 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 nom. We can defuse that. What are we doing? Oh wait, no, we're planting. Never mind.
There.
Oh my god. No. Already clip it. Don't do it.
I should have so gotten that. Why didn't I not get that? Oh, why am I
Do
not?
you have any other guns?
Yep. I was just trying not to
Did you
use.
just skedaddle them?
I actually did!
No, revive the good one first. Yeah, so revive Connor.
Like shove it in my face like this.
Yeah. Close your eyes. Throw it. Stop. Aren't you glad you closed your eyes?
Oh damn. Ooh, whoa. Wow. Wow. Why did I do that? Please help me. Jesus Christ, please help me. Give me cookies.
Yo. Yo, Bingo. I absolutely messaged you today. Thank you. I know I did. Don't tell poppycockness. I'm trying to find my music. There we go. I found it. Oh, how are you, though, Poey? I'm gonna make a to-do list today so I kind of know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm meant to be doing today. So I am fixing sound alert files because they all have sound alert written on the front, and it's so unnecessary. Yep, sound alert. Let me fix it. I've got my I'm fixing up my stream deck as well. So I can press buttons and do things. I don't mind the one in here. Thank you though. I like the little writing sound it makes. Good. I'm trying to think of what else I need to do. I don't know. I need to come up with an idea. Come up with idea for system for pick roll slash power. Um. I think I wrote something in the Discord about the sync mode one. Like a shower? Okay. No wackers. Oh, I think I might have just mostly said it out loud. I was thinking, like, having the love bomb, which throws hearts at me, and then you can, like, write something, and the TTS will say it out loud. I just don't know how to make the TTS say it out loud. Um, this sound, make it right. I would away, forget yesterday. Great escape. They say, just anyway. Program reusable channel point redeems. Program new channel point redeems. Oh, they fixed the freeze thing too, so I can do something with the freeze maybe. Because they fixed that. As we're young, we're so alive. I reckon we're gonna get rid of the 8-bit. Like I said to Paris yesterday, I don't feel like anybody really uses it, so I'm gonna delete it. I'm gonna make an executive decision. Anyway, better start. You'll find it free tonight. There it is. Delete. And we'll delete. Oh, we'll keep the test because I like to use that to test things. And we'll find it tonight. So I did move channel point sound alerts to it. I did have a little list in the Discord. So I did Eugene applause. I'm thinking Batman as well. Oh, I just deleted it accidentally. Whoops. Ooh, excuse me. All right. Yeah, so I did GG, I did applause. Thinking Batman. I think the rest can probably stay. Maybe I'm in danger as well. And maybe we just keep the ones in here that are like my sound. So we figured out the monster way to do monster time, which is awesome. Oh. BTB Rainbow Effect. I have deleted a couple of other. I kind of need to keep a list of the things that I have and haven't done. I need 7,000 tabs, honestly. It's a shame that we play strangers. The strange that we've become. Deleted VIP. Deleted add a command. Guide a raid. We deleted oh, we're gonna delete it. We're gonna write repurposed. Repurposed. Name a ducky. Every follower can name one duck in the game. And we've got choose my role and choose my hero. Way to use these is TBA. Way to use these for future. Yay. Then we'll do I don't know why it's suddenly wanting to put them there, but sure. Simp mode activated has been changed to love bomb. You will be able to throw hearts at me and write something that will be read out by TTS. I don't really know why either. What else? What else? What else? Hey, Blank, how are you? Removed 8-bit reward. Redeem. I'm just going through and writing the things that I have done because I do like to have like a little change log to write in Discord. Yeah, it is my new model. I made it a little bit ago, a few weeks ago, because I like this one much better than the other one. that out. New edition. Edit. Okay. Oh, I should repurposed. I'll put GG applause. What do I say? Batman. And I'm in danger. I've been moved to the bits menu for free. Menu, however, are still free. Okay. Too many things to do, honestly. My to-do list is very long. Me of love. I could also take my glasses on and off as well. It's another one I am. This. I think it's 4. Oh, that's my body. Whoops. Yeah. Glasses on and off. And then the hat can go on and off. Yeah. It took me ages to work out how to do the toggling of those, honestly. There wasn't really very many tutorials on how to do it. So it took a really long time to work out. But I finally did. And then I'm gonna have another outfit as well. I have 2 outfits. Your floating head, yes! Actually, I was gonna make, I'll put that on my to-do list, because I was actually gonna make like a little Halloween-specific redeem. Floating cookie head. You can also do it so your like face is gone as well. Hang on, I'll show you. All the things you can do. Oh, I made it go ooh. You can do like so it toggles your face. You can have oops. No hair. Oh god, that's hella creepy. Oh. Oh. Then there's the glasses, the hat, and then you can we can just make me like completely invisible. The invisible person. Invisible person. I don't know what would happen if you gooed an invisible person. Oh, it just goes on the glasses. Right, let's retoggle all this stuff back on. There we go. But yes, I was gonna make a Halloween specific redeem for a floating head cookie. Cookie head. Oh, it's a frog. Butterfly. I don't even know what that is. A flutter frog. Okay. During cool autumn nights, something can be seen stalking the skies. Other nocturnal characters herald its arrival. Night. Let's make it so we're at least like doing something this time. Should we do that first? Maybe we'll do that first. So we got that nice Halloweeny vibe going on. La 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 la. So we're gonna call it Halloween floating head. Explain cookie head. Okay. We need to make a redeem. We need to go to Twitch. 10 point redeems. Create reward. That frog is a Pokemon? It does look like a Pokemon. Or is it actually a Pokemon? Because that's pretty cool. I could also make it so like I'm super close as well. So oh, we're not that close. That's a bit too close, right? But like do like here maybe. And then have it so there's nobody. Make another thing. I don't know, remember what. Oh no, that's hair. Oh, that's face. That's the hat. Or maybe? Ah, there we go. I don't know how big we would need it to be though. Like maybe, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I need to make another camera angle. I've got 1, 2, 3. Oh, that moved that one. Okay, that one's meant to be a bit closer. This one's meant to be like a creepy, hello, I'm right in your face. Hello, hello. Tiny. Okay. What was this one? Oh. There we go. No, don't be a second yet. I think you're like the second person, to be honest. Yeah, we could do like then we gotta do the house as well. There we go. Oh, Shaq Shimmy. That's pretty good, I reckon. Okay. I don't remember what. That's meant to be the shoes, I think. I don't know why it doesn't. Oh, because I've got no shoes on because my bottom half is spit. Okay, so 5 is shoes, 6 is that one. Okay. I'll rename this to body. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna run out of space on my stream deck. Ham angle. It's about 20. So on and bring your jukebox money. Love Shack is a little old place where we can get together. Love Shack, baby. The WebSocket URL. So one is. Ooh. Okay, one is normal, I think. It's like my normal. Normie. Oh, 2 and 1 are pretty much the same. And number 2 is like knees up. Call it, because I don't know what else to call it. Oh, this one's close up. Close up. Yo, what? Zero. Rest. Whole body. So we got normie, knees up, close up, whole body. Okay. And we got shoes. Just gonna check the shoes out. Beautiful shoes, aren't they? And then I've just written them called toes. Mm. Okay. This will be like head dash headless angle. There we go. Beautiful. Now let's make make my redeem. Okay, make Cookie just a floating head for Halloween. We'll make it like a grey color as the background, I reckon. We'll make it cost. Let me have a look at the other channel points. I don't really know my general costing. I feel like this is a special like occasion, which make it a bit cheaper. Maybe about 300. Or we'll go just more than like which cookies, so what, like 150. Then we're like lots of people will be able to use it. And cooldown, we'll do it like every. Probably do 5 minutes for like the use, so be headless for like 5 minutes, which is kind of funny. So then 6 minutes. So, oops, 360 seconds. I was ending, you come over, right? You'd come over and you stay the night. Would you love me for the hell of it? Would fears would be irrelevant? Okay, I've made the redeem. It will not do anything yet. Don't touch. Twitch. And a reward. Reward redemption. Alright. You know you want. Don't for forever and it's fine. So you have to do like code for this. Alright. I was ending, you come over, right? You come over and you stay the night. Would you love me for the hell of it? Would fears would be irrelevant? Let me look at the Monster Hat one again because that's going to tell me how to write it. So, yeah. Copy. Add. For C#. Okay. So, WebSocket send, VTP, and it's not mesh. This is. We're going to do camera as well. Because I reckon we'll do camera second. Wonder if you can do them both in the same thing. We're going to see. We'll see whether it works. And it is camera angle. What did we say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then Oh, it is a mesh, isn't it? Because it's number 4. Okay. Love generation. We're just going to duplicate it, and then we're going to put a little delay so we know it's definitely working. Of like, I don't know, millisecond. How many milliseconds is in a second? 60? I don't know. How many seconds or milliseconds in a second? 1,000. Okay, so if we do like 1,000, oh no, we do 3,000 so that it's 3 seconds delay. Then we're gonna test this. Oh, perfect! Oh my gosh, look at me. Look at me. I'm so good. We just have to get to the camera angle back to the right camera angle. So it should be 1. So if we do it again, test. Yo! Let's go. So how long is a minute? 5 minutes is 300,000 milliseconds, sorry. 300,000 milliseconds. Oh! Generation. Cool, okay, so that works now. So if I test it and I do floating cookie head for the next 5 minutes, I will only have a head. But that's fine. I only need the head, right, guys? Should we have gone orange for the redeem, actually, instead of grey? Gotta fix it. Orange, because it's like Halloween, right? Love generation. More spirit hints to be added to your spirit decks. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. All right. I've done something. Huzzah. Congratulations, Cookie. My next most easy thing to do is fixing up all of these sound alert titles. I'll keep Please God No in as a channel point because people really like it. Oh, I need Batman in. Well, I fixed the title, so there you go. I fixed the title. Go me. Let's see if we can find I'm Batman. Perfect. I'm Batman. Add. I'm Batman, and we're gonna have 0 biddies. That mean is gonna be a free biddy one. Don't worry, guys. Bye bye, Batman. Been banished. I'm in danger is the other one that needs to go on to the bits extension. I'm in danger. Add and close. Perfect. I'm in danger is also over there. That's another thing. Look at that. Is it even on here? Oh, yeah, it is. There we go. Move channel point a bit. Ah! Bye bye, I'm in danger. Okay. Oh my goodness, I've got so many things that are in here from when I used to have. Ugh. Hmm? Does earthquake still work? No. Wonder why. Oh, they don't have chat commands anymore. No, on chat needs to be ticked, I think. They might have changed it. I'll try that again. Works. Yeah, okay. Edited it. Oh! Oh no. Not me. No, no. No reputation. Okay, head pat. Can definitely do. What's our head pat thing? Pat cookie. And then if I go. Yay! Okay, head pat's working. Let me add another thing. It's gonna go fixed redeem. Okay. So fixed redeems is I guess it is kind of a new edition, isn't it? It's not fixed redeem. New edition is head pat on vtuber cookie. Oh no. Oh no. Not me. I need to add some of the items to the folder. I got a bunch of these items yesterday and I just hadn't had a chance to put them in the folders yet. Terrible for item. Okay, so we're gonna go Pokeballs first. No. Promiscuous girl, wherever you are, I'm all alone. It's you that I want. Yes, boy. I'm all yours. What you waiting for? Promiscuous girl. Is... how does the grab a cookie and a So we're going to add a throw. Oh, we need to fix the items first. Reload items. Promiscuous boy. That I'm yours. Custom. Daily cookies. We're just going to call this the test one for now because I want to make sure it's working. Okay. Oh! These cookies are very big cookies, aren't they? Oh! It's alright. Is it just those ones that are very big, though? Yes, girl. You are. Oh! What you need? Welcome, mate. I think those cookies are too big. Yeah, but why are they not actually in me though? We need to make this. I don't understand why they're flying past my head. Why are they all being thrown past my head? I'm so confused. Is my like throw ring too high maybe? They're all being thrown past my head. Oops. Look, they're all being thrown above my head. I don't understand why they're all being thrown over my head. Yeah, so cool. In every room. Oh, you're burning, yearning for some. Hmm. I don't know how to make them throw from other places. Yeah, I don't know why it's not throwing things at me. Ooh, wow. Mm, mm, mm. I don't even know what to like look at to see what would be making it do that. Mm, 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 mm. Bye. Don't mind. Now it's done, done, done. Dun, 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 dun. Dun. Ooh, you can turn up the yeet power. Whoa! Oops, I think I put it up a little too much. Um, I don't even know how to fix the. Oh, some of them are throwing at my head. Some aren't. Why are they throwing from up here though? I thought that was like the. Eh. If that was the idea of the throw ring, I thought that's where it was meant to throw from. I wanted to throw them from in front, but I don't know how to make them do that. Like that. Dun, dun, dun. I'm hitting me in the face. What happened? Why am I waving? Yeah, I don't understand why they're like. I mean, it's good enough, I reckon. At least for now. Okay. I think the cookies are in okay size now. All right. Back in the atmosphere. That you might think of me, yes. So I'm just gonna change that redeem to daily cookies redeem. To Daily cookies. 2 exclamation marks. Perfect. Awesome. Daily cookies. Now roast cookies. Okay. Pastanics once done. No. I did pack cookie. Slap cookie I wanna do file. This one. I want the reward to be row. I need to get items. Then, if I do, hey! I wonder if I could. Did you reckon I should make a sticky? Sticky throw item. I was a ghost. I was alone. Ah, oh, ah, the- I was the queen that I'm meant to be. 2 lives. Hey, find my own place. Rock the crowd. Got too wild. I'm getting paid. I'm done hiding. Now I'm shining like I wanna be. Dreaming, going so far now. I believe. I time. We're glowing. Gonna be golden. Gonna be golden. Oh, I'm done hiding. Now I'm shining like I'm walls down. Love like me. Out of the past now. Like all we'll see. Or hiding. Be shining like I'm gonna be. Your hunter's voice is strong enough. Let me be golden. Oh, and I'm golden. Oh, I'm done hiding. Now I'm oh, gone. Gone. Alright. Where's my Discord going? Found it. Monster time is good. Hydrate. Tough cookie with a long history. Hearts like the one in me. See how you do it. Let's get down to it. Hit me with your best shot. Hit me with your best shot. Best shot. Fire away. Don't fight fair. Best shot. Don't you hit me with your best shot. Hit me with your best shot. Fire away. Oh my gosh, I've just realized I was writing onto new editions the cookie head ready I made, and I've written folding cookie head for Halloween instead of floating cookie head. It's not even close to the same word, dude. The only thing that made it the same was the fact that it ends in ing and starts with an F. Actually, tiny brain over here. Hit me with your best shot. Fire away. Why don't you hit me with your best shot? Hit me with your best shot. Fire away. You're getting close. You're dancing. Never had a chance. Never even knew it was really only you. Where you did so far, kid. Thousand lies and a criticize. Eyes hit him right between the eyes. Dance, dance. You never had a chance. Even knew it was really only you. The way I can say, like you did. You're gonna go far, kid. Thousand lies and the fiftieth time. Hit him right between the eyes. Hit him right in your eyes. Why is it inside my head? Why is it inside my eye? The rapids in the eyes, hear the rapids in the eyes. Running in your eyes, see him running all day long. Running in your eyes, see him running all day long. Make it every 5 minutes. You know, take control. That's very much long. I got to remember time. Let's do time warp again. Let's do the time warp again. Step to the left and step to the right. Hands on your hips. Moves in time. Nothing rest. Really drives you insane. I can time warp again. Fantasy free me. Actually, such a good song, though. Let's do time up again. Ah, emoing.
So they say, dance for me, dance for me, dance for me, oh. I never seen anybody do the things you do before. They say, move for me, move for me, move for me, hey.
ZiCookiie played Dance Monkey for 500 channel points.
Okay. Dance Monkey is return. Rainbow VTuber. And it's Sandler. Sound brings me round again to find not the man I think I am at home. Oh no, no, no. This is what I should have said. But how are you, little baby? Time bring me round again to find nothing I am at home. Oh no, no, no. Yeah, hello. How are you? Hope you're doing good. Where Alice is gonna have a look and see if she um can change the little like dangly bits a little bit.
So they
Say,
say,
dance for me, dance for me, dance for me. Oh oh. Never seen you right. You didn't do before. Say, move my, move my, move my. Hey.
Lorella well played Dance Monkey for 500 channel points.
I love Dance Monkey. I didn't even know it was gone. I was full of sitting here yesterday, like doing all these channel points, and looking at all the VTP stuff, and like looking at everything. And I was looking at my streamer bot, like channel point redeem stuff because it shows all the old ones and stuff as well. And I was like, oh, something to do with rainbows. And I was like, and I looked at the VTuber Plus. I'm like, oh, we can do rainbows in VTuber. And I was like, I used to do rainbows in VTuber. I was like, huh? And I was like, but wait, that's when we used to do Dance Monkey. And I was like, why has nobody redeemed Dance Monkey in like forever? Like Dance Monkey's cool. Like, is it too expensive or something? Like, I'm so confused. Then I went back to Twitch and it wasn't there. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I didn't even know. I had a full mental breakdown. I was like, I didn't know. It's fine. I fixed it now. But like, I was so upset too because like I knew it was like you guys' favorite or one of your favorites, and I didn't even know that it wasn't working. So there you go. This is everybody's tip and alert to be like check your stuff, make sure it's all still there. Oh goodness me. Oh, excuse me. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Technically 29 because test doesn't count. So we've got 29 active and inactive commands. We have made a lot of space, which is good. Excuse me, goodness. Sorry, guys. Right now. Nothing else. Right now, kiss me on the mouth and love me like a sailor. Where's my VTV on there? Savior. Do we have raid confetti? Or raids? Raid rainbow. Makes. Get rainbow when we get raids. And it's got raid throw. I feel like this used to be the drop. I've got to reload the item. I feel like it used to be the drop of the Skittle. Clean up the looks, lies in the book. Citizen out of you. Does he sleep with it and keep an eye on you, son? Drugs over, they gonna give you a smirk. They got methods of keeping you clean. Lift up your heads, your aspirations to shreds. They say it all teenagers scared to live. Someone will bleed. Okay, so we're gonna do some bit stuff. Again, need to read. I keep forgetting we need to reload the items every time I put a new item in. Ta-da! Okay. Okay. Between 1 bit and 100 bit. Well, we'll throw like 10. That's like 1 per 10 bits. I'm gonna put it as best redemption for now. I think. Wow. I need to work out why they're flying over my head. I don't know why they're flying over my head. But it's fine. So then we're gonna go throw, custom, 100 bits. Test as the redemption to start with. So when it's between 100 and 1,000 bits. So pretty. Nice. It's unbelievable. Let's take you. Hello, Brooklyn. Hey, LA. So between I think it needs to be like 1 to 99. Then it needs to be 100 to 999. And the next one then needs to be 1,000 to 5,000. Take you. Invitation. Hello, Brooklyn. Hey, LA. Close the streets all night. Sleep all day. I'm smashing down. Who's ready to party? Brooklyn. Hey, LA. Down in flames. We could let go. Goodbye. Then custom 10,000 biddies. I don't even know what the max amount you can do is. Let's say like 100,000. Ew. Okay, so we got the biddies. Go. And then we also got Skittles, rain on VTuber cookies, head, raids. Subs, throw one Pokeball at VTuber cookie per sub. Follows? I don't have one. Let's see what we can find in my folder of goodies. Got some Valentine's Day one. Do teddies. That's cute. Do that. When people follow, I get a teddy thrown at me. It used to be a Sims plus plus, but I haven't been able to find that again. So follows, throw one teddy, a cookie, VTuber cookie. What else we got going on, guys? We've got some, throw something at my face. We've done head pat. We've done love bomb. Fixed follows. We've got subs. We've got raids. Biddies. We do have aliens and make Kai dizzy still. We could use those again. And we've got Slime Kai already programmed in as well. Mm. Yeah. Very confused, Paris. I know what you send now. I understand. All right. I'm not gonna put an exact like price on these yet. I'm just wanting to get them into the program. Then we can work out pricing. Oh, we got a spirit. It's a bat. Iris, do you have this one? It's cute. It's a hex wing. Look at that. Oh, I don't have any more on here. This one. I've got to go to the kitchen, I think, now. The same. Simmer slowly over low heat. Do not overboil. Listen to the bubbles. Try brewing some tea while you wait. Kitchen. Simmer slowly over low heat. Do not overboil. Listen to the bubbles. Oh, here. Bubbles. Anything to do with tea? Can you even make tea? How do you make tea? Paris, do you know how to make tea? Because it says simmer slowly over low heat. Do not overboil. Listen to the bubbles. Brew some tea while you wait. Because I don't have a... I don't have a coffee machine. Now? I need to Google it. I think I don't understand. What was the last one I got? Syrupy. Kitchen simmering. Oh, you need to have. You need to have a different spirit with wardrobe. This one. Aha! There you go. Some of them you need to have pets with you. I had water, let me drown. Oh, so my kettle is adorable. Just saying. Down to my knees. Don't let me turn it down. So, ta-da! Should we change the slime color to like a cookie color? Not the shape of the. What you mean? I thought you'd be using the ears. Are you not doing that? Hmm. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. I just liked the idea of them being able to move. That I showed you they move if you have them as the ears. I just think that's kind of weird. I don't understand. The ears or no? I don't understand. Oh. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? If they are the first one is they're not gonna move, are they? No, because like if I put on now. Oops. I wanna see the bottom. They don't move. Because it's a hat. What do you mean you shaved them? I don't understand. Why do they have a split then if their ears? I don't know. Why did they need to be round? They can be pointy, can't they? Oh, I didn't mind what shape they were. It was just the fact that they, the shape of like how they were coming away from the body. Like, they looked like they were like hanging around rather than being flat. That was my problem. I don't really mind what shape they are. Like, I like how this one is like hang down, is kind of straight. But they don't move, so that what I mean. Does it look weird if it's brown like this? The other one was too light, I think. How's that? Still too dark? Something like pink a lot. Yeah. It doesn't quite look exactly how it does on the website. Just saying. I'm looking at a bunch of hex codes now. I'm trying to find a cookie color. The first one's black. That can't be right. The first one is literally black. You could not have sent the right one. And so it's the second one. The third one is blue. And so is the fourth one. What? What color codes are you looking at? I can try and manually type them. I don't know if it'll make a difference. Okay, manually typing them apparently made a difference. I don't know why. I copied and pasted the other one. It worked, but I don't know. Anyway. This is the first one. I don't think so. I can't. E. The next one. Oh, this one's way too wide. It's also gonna be way too wide as well. Well, I sent them to you on Discord, so... But to be honest, I don't like any of those colours. Second one's way too orange. The other two are too white. The first one's... I mean, I don't know. Yeah. What I literally searched cookie color palette, but sure. This is... Pushing down on me, pushing down on you. Under pressure. I don't know what this world is about. What differently? Let me out. I need a funny, like, name for the big head redeem. Because this is the big head redeem. I don't know what it's about. Your friends scream, let me out. That one's very white, the first one. Maybe the second one. Ah, wah, either the second one or I don't know. Give ourselves one more chance. Why can't we give love, give love, give love, give love, give love? Alright. Yeah. Then there's fire redeem. I want to make that like kind of like the earthquake one because we still do have 4 subscribers. They can use the earthquake redeem. So maybe we could do the same thing for the fire ones as well. Do like. I don't know if anybody. Or if it's just. Well, as names for the redeem. Yeah. Balloon head, baby. the best days of my life. Six. Oh, yeah. Young man. Hmm. So, if I do. Ready. Huh? Why is it only doing one of them? What are you doing? Oh, because these aren't owned. I can touch it on it. Okay, so I need to make the redeems BTP in StreamerBot, not in Ink. Otherwise, I can't have it turn them on and off. One. Cost doesn't really matter too much when you're tuning it anyway, but. Okay, so then if I go. Okay, cool. So, I need to go here. Delete this one. Okay, and slime pie. And aliens are coming! Then if I go back to my chart, say test. Nice. If I type that in the chat, awesome. I think there's any other ones that need to go for that. Uh, I can't. That's not owned by it. Alright. Sorry, Beans. I was just on the phone to the vet, saying that the kitty cats are ready to come home. So I'm gonna have to finish up for now, and hopefully I'll be a stream tonight because I've already got all these pieces. Hi, Lamented. Sorry. How are you doing? Welcome in. Yeah, I have to finish up for now. Because I've got most of my rewards set up. I should hopefully be able to stream tonight. I would like to stream. We were thinking of playing Ale and Tail Tavern. Because Ale and Tail Tavern brought out a Halloween update. So Paris and I were thinking we might play that tonight, maybe. See, maybe we might. Super Fantasy Town. Yes, I will download that as well. I definitely will download that as well. I'll download it when I finish up. Not here tonight. I thought. I thought you said wait. All right, no, that's fine. Obviously, a miscommunication. That's fine. Yeah, maybe I'll do Super Fantasy Town then instead. I'm good. How you doing? I'm doing good. Just was doing some channel point redemption stuff for my VTuber. And yeah, just chilling and trying to set things up so that when I do stream, things work. Two things. We can chat about Paris because I don't remember. Yeah, but that is fine because I know that I don't remember things most of the time. Yeah, we can. Yeah, I'm doing good. My kitty cats are ready at the vet, so I've got to go pick them up. But I will stream later, whether I stream all by myself. I was going to do a little movie at home with the kiddos after school, so we're not going to be going out and doing anything too, like we're not going to go out trick-or-treating because I'm not bothered this year. We went last year and I just cannot be bothered this year to do it, so, because here in Australia, there's like not like a lot of people that do it, so it's not like you have, you walk along a street, house, go up to sort of thing. It's like one house, and then you have to drive 5 minutes to another house, and then you have to drive 5 minutes to another, and it's just a lot. So, I will not be doing that this year, much to I'm sure my children's disappointment. So we're just gonna be doing a movie instead. I'm not sure which movie yet, and then yeah, we'll have early night, hopefully, fingers crossed, and then hopefully I'll be able to stream tonight. I don't know whether I will stream over the weekend or not. We'll just have to take it as we go. I think I'll be doing more day streams. Thing is, my kiddos have decided that sleeping is not fun, even though if I was a kid, I'd be sleeping all the time. Okay. But for now, we're gonna go and we're gonna raid our friendo. And because he is playing a really cute game called Super Fantasy Kingdom. That she showed me earlier, and I think it's really, really cute. So I'm gonna go raid Law. I know she knows that we're gonna come because, like always, because she's a beautiful, amazing supporter that we love very, very much. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Hopefully I'll be able to catch you later, Lamented. Sorry, I'm gonna call you Soul because I feel like I'm gonna pronounce that way better than. Thank you for coming by and saying hello. Hopefully we get to chat a bit more next time live and I catch you. But yeah, for now, I'm gonna go say hello to Law. Law is beautiful. Law is lovely. You guys are gonna love her very, very much. And yeah, I will catch you guys later. If you guys are not following my socials, my socials link And if you're not in the Discord, that is the Discord link. And we're going to go and read lore and show her our damn love. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon or evening, guys, depending on where you are in the world.